welcome to the 100 Acre Wool Knitting Podcast. My name is Bella, and as always, I'm coming to you from Northern California in the US. I am a knitter, knitwear designer, and lover of all things fiber and fiber arts. And this is a podcast where I like to come and share with you and show you what I've been working on and what I've been making, and also my designing process as I design knitwear patterns. So today I have a lot of knitting to share with you. I kind of went crazy with the new cast-ons. I was just like, yes, I want to make this. Let's cast it on, cast it on, cast it on. Left and right I was casting things on. So we have a lot to go over today, and also some finished objects, so lots of goodies to go over today. So first, I guess we will just get straight into what I am wearing today. I am wearing, well, first the knitted piece. I am wearing, this is the Swirl Slipover by Twin Knits. This is a pattern not on Ravelry actually. I think it is only on the Twin Knits website. But this is a pattern that I test knit for them last year. I really loved this test knit. There are just so many beautiful details throughout this slipover. And I will link my project page for this down below if you would like to see more of the details and such. But I used new to den yarn and my own hand-dyed yarn, and it's just super squishy and yummy and wonderful. And then I guess that will bring us to the sponsor of today's video, which is Lily Silk. Lily Silk is an online store that specializes in silk and fine fiber products. They sell silk clothing and sheets and pillowcases, bedding, accessories, everything that you could think of out of silk. And they really have a wonderful business practice, I think. I've actually been using Lily Silk products for years, and I really have loved them. I have some of their pillowcases and accessories and things, and I was just so happy when they decided to reach out and want to sponsor this podcast because I already love their brand so much. They really place a lot of importance around creating a more zero-waste business practice with how they create their products and clothing and such. So they do everything they can to use every last scrap of silk so that there is as much or as little waste as possible in their whole production cycle. And also silk is biodegradable, so there is almost zero waste with everything that they create, which I find to be very important. And all their silk products are also Oeco-Tex certified, which means they don't have any harmful chemicals used in the production or creation of any of their clothing, which is also really great. And Lily Silk actually has a patented technology with how they create their silk products. They are quite literally different than normal silk. I find actually silk sometimes to be a little bit scratchy and stiff and not quite as soft as you would think. But Lily Silk actually does something different. They have a patented technology where they are using certain silkworms that they have bred for generations to create the finest mulberry silk possible, grade 6A, so it is very fine and is much softer and smoother than other types of silk. It is actually different. You can tell when you feel it. It is really something special. So thank you so much to Lily Silk for sponsoring this podcast. I have been absolutely loving their pieces. They were so kind to send over 2 of their garments. So I am wearing today, this is their jasmine blouse. It is 100% silk, and it's this really beautiful kind of drapey charmeuse sort of a silk. Absolutely gorgeous. It is breathable and light, so it's very soft on the skin, but not hot or heavy in any sort of way. It almost feels like you're wearing nothing. It'll pair with absolutely everything. I totally am in love with this jasmine blouse with the beautiful little bow here in the front. Right when I saw this, I fell in love. I was like, yes, I will wear that with absolutely everything. And then they were also so kind to send over one of their SOS shirts. I find it absolutely beautiful, and you can just see it shines. This silk is absolutely like nothing else. No other silk that I've ever felt before has felt like this. This is truly the softest silk that I have ever felt before. So, absolutely beautiful tailoring on these pieces. Just so well made. I definitely believe that these pieces and almost all of the pieces that Lily Silk sells on their website, they are very interchangeable with what you can wear with them. I feel you can pair these, they're basics. They're basics that you can pair with anything in your wardrobe, and they're made to last, and they're made sustainably, so you can wear them for years and years and years, and they're gonna treat you well. Lily Silk was so kind to send over some of their pillowcases as well. And let me tell you, this is the softest silk that I have ever felt in my life. I kid you not. You have to try these. Oh my gosh. There's so many benefits to sleeping with silk. Skin benefits, hair benefits, antimicrobial and antibacterial benefits. It is breathable again, so I usually sleep really hot, so I really love to sleep on a silk pillowcase so I don't end up sweating through the night. It's just amazing. I love Lily Silk pillowcases. And one thing I noticed that they've updated is they have a little zip now on the pillowcase. So when you put your pillow in, you can zip it up and it won't be flying all over the place. So Lily Silk is offering 12% off everything in their store. Just use the code ACREWOOL at checkout, and I will have that link down below as well, and then also linked the blouses and things that I shared with you today. So thanks again, Lily Silk, for sponsoring this video. And now we will get into finished objects. So the first finished object, I have finished my cowl design, my new cowl design that I've been showing you all for a couple of weeks in a couple of podcasts. It's finally finished, and I'm just so happy with how it came out. So we didn't have a name for this at first, but now we have come up with a name. It is going to be called the Wayworth Cowl. Doesn't really have anything to do with the design, but we just really like that name. So this is called the Wayworth Cowl, and I am just so happy with how it came out. It is so cozy and light, but still warm. And here's how the back turned out. So there's just one seam here to close it up at the end. It's worked flat back and forth in mosaic knitting, and this is just the little seam there to close it up at the end. So I used Under Och Air Nutiden yarn for this particular sample, and I'm actually already started on my second sample of it that I'm knitting for a friend. And again, it is just so cozy and warm. It just keeps your neck so nice and toasty. And I also designed it so that you could sort of fold it in on itself if you want to make it less foldy around the neck. If you want it to lay a little bit flatter, you could fold it in on itself. Or I did want it to be long enough so that you could bring it up over your nose and even your ears, so that it would be very toasty warm if you were going on a hike or a bike ride or any sort of activity where wind would be coming in your face. That's really what I wanted this cowl for, was to block out some of that cold, because my face can get very, very cold and uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm just so happy with how this one came out. And like I said, I have already started on the second sample, and the test knit for this is already underway as well. A lot of the test knitters are using, some of them are using unspun yarn like this, and some of them are using spun yarn. They are just coming out so beautifully so far, and I'm really excited to see how those work up. And like I said, this is all over mosaic knitting, but there's some little twists with sort of wrap textures throughout as well. So you are only working with one color every single row, so you never have to worry about holding two colors in your hand at the same time, which definitely made the knitting process a lot easier than regular color work, especially for unspun yarn. I held this just a single strand of Nutiden, and you can absolutely use a single strand of any sort of fingering weight. I will show you my other sample soon. I'm using just a regular spun fingering weight. Actually, you could also use a sport weight yarn as well. So it's very interchangeable with the type of yarn that you use for this. And this also really doesn't use much yarn at all. I weighed this sample and it's just over 100 grams, and I think it's a little bit, it's around 50 grams per color that I used for this. I think it was like 60 grams for the main green color, and then 50 grams for the golden color. So yeah, really does not use much yarn at all. I will say spun yarn will probably behave differently than this and will need more grams of a spun yarn, since the spun yarn is denser most likely than unspun. So it will probably use some more yarn, but still probably will not use very much yarn. Maybe 150 grams or 100 grams of each color. So yeah, just a really fun, cute little project. Really great to keep your neck warm and add some little pretty interest around your neck. So that is the first finished object. And then I also finished my partner's mittens. So I shared with you this mitten last time, the sword mitten, and so many of you commented that you wanted a pattern for this mitten set. I will say I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a pattern for this. Now that I've completed the other one, it would be kind of hard for me to make it into a pattern, just with how the motif is, and I really didn't have a specific way of doing it. I actually embroidered this on afterwards, and I don't know, I think it would be kind of hard for me to turn it into a pattern. Also, the fact that someone had commented also that Evil Knits actually has a tutorial on how to make mittens very, very similar to this, at least the construction of this, and how to create mittens that will fit you perfectly. So I will direct you to Evil Knits. I will link the tutorial that I'm talking about. I will link that down below so that you can create some mittens for yourself. But at least for the motifs, I don't know, maybe I will make a pattern for just the motifs. I'm not sure how that would work. We will see. Yeah, anyway, if you're just looking for a basic mitten pattern though, I would direct you to Evil Knits tutorial sort of series on how to do that. So, but yes, I finished the mittens for him. All the ends are woven in. I haven't blocked them yet, but I'm not sure if I'll need to. He'll probably just start wearing them by themselves. But yeah, so this is the sword mitten, and then this is the shield mitten, and he wanted me to embroider a little heart in the middle. So I did my best. I don't know if it looks perfect, but I think they turned out really cute, and he's gonna really love wearing these in the mornings when his hands are cold going to work. And he would have started wearing these already, but we actually came down with COVID last week, so that was really not fun. I am better now. I'm okay. It didn't hit me very hard, but it is hitting him a little bit harder. So he hasn't been going to work. He's had to take off some work time because he's still testing positive and can't go in. I only needed to take out a few days, but yeah, COVID is no fun. It's still out there, so you know, just a little reminder, guys, make sure to keep wearing your masks. I don't want to get into all this, but anyways, COVID is still out there for sure. People are still getting it. Anyways, the mittens are finished. There we go. I am so happy with how they came out, and a really quick knit. So there we go. And next I have a new cast on and a new design. I can't stop. I can't stop with the ideas. So, a couple of weeks ago, Acre introduced their February collection, and of course I absolutely fell in love, and especially with two colorways in particular. So I had to pick up some yarn of those two colorways, and here they are right here. So this one is Rodnand, I believe. It's a really beautiful blush pink, and this one is Logum? I'm not sure if that's correct. I think it starts with an L. But anyways, it's this really beautiful sort of peachy color. And on Caroline's podcast, Caroline is the maker behind Knitted and Yarn. On her podcast, she shared a sample that was holding one strand of each of these colors together. And I just totally fell in love with that colorway, and immediately a design popped into my head. And I was like, I need to bring it into existence. So that happened, and I started swatching, and I felt that this color combination for me would be the greatest springy sort of summery cardigan ever. I was very, very excited about it, and I've been wanting a spring summer sort of cardigan, very light, fresh sort of feeling, and kind of feminine. So that's what I was swatching and casting on and sort of playing with. And we got to this swatch that I just really love how it came out. So it is such a simple and sweet little cable motif, just repeating, and I think it creates a really beautiful, simple little texture. So I am designing a cardigan with this, and I am just already having so much fun with it. It's like TV knitting for me, and I've really been enjoying the more simple projects, the more simple knits. So I have cast on the cardigan already, and here is where I'm at. It's going to be a sort of modified drop shoulder. So I want it to be a drop shoulder, but not as bulky in the underarms as maybe some other drop shoulders could be. I want to kind of blend a set-in sleeve with a drop shoulder because I feel like that will fit better overall. But yeah, I'm just very excited with how it's coming along so far. So you may be able to tell I am working this bottom up. So I cast on at the bottom and I'm working up, and I am using US size 6 4mm needles for this, and again 2 colors of knitted and held together. So that makes about a worsted weight yarn. So this will be very squishy and cozy and warm. I'm just very, very excited about it. So it's gonna take a little bit of knitting. It's gonna be a while before I finish because you can see how much I've gotten done already on it. But honestly, it's been going very quickly. And again, it's a super fun knit. Definitely a TV knit, but still keeps you engaged with those cables. So having a lot of fun with that one. And then I also have another new cast on. So this is the second sample of the Wayworth Cowl that I showed you at the beginning. This sample in particular is going to be going to a friend when I'm finished, and just a little bit, just a very little bit, has been worked so far, but I'm really having a lot of fun seeing how it's coming out with a spun yarn because the textures of the wraps are definitely different since the yarn doesn't really blend together as much. But I think it's turning out very, very interesting, especially with this fading yarn. So these are the 2 yarns that I'm using for that sample, and this one is hand spun that I actually shared with you last time. This is how the cake is looking, so you can kind of see the fade that's going to happen as I knit through the cake. Just lots of really beautiful pinks throughout, and purples and peaches. Very excited to see how that knits up. And then the contrast color, or the main color that I'm using, this is some of my naturally hand-dyed yarn, and I'm not sure how well it will come up on the screen, but this is just the simplest sort of linen beige sort of color. So not perfectly white, sort of a creamy linen sort of color. So these are what, this is the color combo that my friend wanted for her cowl. So I'm just very excited to see how these come out together. And in the last podcast episode when I had shared this hand spun with you, some people had commented that it was definitely a worsted spun yarn that I had created. And I do want to say that I'm not, now that I'm working with it, I'm not exactly thrilled with how it came out. It's definitely good. I am happy to knit with it, but I can kind of see now where I could have improved. In some cases, I have found that it's maybe overspun, or yeah, probably overspun, because it's tending, when I'm pulling the yarn out of the ball, it's tending to want to sort of twirl and twist on itself. So I think that means it's not a very balanced yarn. So I'm still, learning. This is a learning process. I guess when I was starting out with learning to do hand spun yarn, I was focusing a lot on creating a very consistent yarn in terms of the thickness and how it looks. But I'm now finding that there are so many other aspects to yarn creation and spinning up yarn. So I have to take into account also the spin angle, how tight or loose of a twist you are giving it, and then also how much air you are leaving in or taking out with the type of drafting style that you are doing. So there's just so much to be learned with hand spun, and I'm still having so much fun with that whole process and learning more about it. So yeah, anyways, it's definitely different to work with than a commercially created yarn, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think it gives a different look in a good way. So yeah, that's how the knitting is turning out so far, and I will update you all along the way, and I'm very excited to see how that fade works out. I just absolutely love hand-dyed fiber turned into hand spun and watching it fade. That is one of my favorite things in knitting. So the next work in progress, I had this yarn sitting in my stash for almost a year maybe. I think I had purchased these yarns last summer on a trip that I had gone in Virginia, and they were just calling to me that they wanted to be together in a project. And I also really wanted another hat. I have exactly one hand knit hat now in my wardrobe, and I just really wanted another one. So I decided to pull these yarns out of my stash. This one is from Little Fox Fibers, and it is her Surrey base in the colorway Temperance. I am totally in love with this yarn. It is so soft. Of course, Surrey alpaca, those types of bases are usually very soft, but this colorway especially is just, it's so me. I love it so much. It's sort of a lavendery purpley base, but then has spots of pinks and oranges and yellows throughout. Just absolutely totally in love with that. How subtle but variegated it is. Then this ball here is from Hudson and West Yarn Co. And this is their weld base in the colorway Dusk. So a really beautiful sort of blushy pink, but kind of has a grayish undertone. So I just thought these two would go so well together. And so I decided to cast on a hat, and here is how it's looking. It is very squished on the needles right now. I had to take off the needles to use on one of my other projects because, again, I got crazy with the cast-ons this time. But I'm working it bottom up, and it's going to be a tam style of hat. So not completely fitted to my head, a little bit of ease and play up here, similar to a kind of beret. That's kind of the shape that I'm going for, but you can see here I started with a rib and now I am working brioche. So really happy with how these textures are coming out and the fiber colors, how they're playing together. I'm just really excited about this one. I can already tell how cozy and comfy it's going to be. So I am using US size 6 needles for this, and I'm holding one strand of the Dusk colorway with 2 strands of the Temperance. So 2 strands of the Surrey and 1 strand of the fingering weight. So it's definitely a thicker yarn. I really wanted it to be really nice and thick and cozy for this hat. And this again has been a really fun project so far. Definitely TV knitting, having fun playing with some brioche, and I'm just about to get to the decrease portion of the hat since I'm working bottom up. So yeah, really excited about that one and excited to start wearing it when I'm able to finish it. I will most likely have this finished before next time because I'm just having so much fun with it. I did order another ball of this. This was only 50 grams and I feel like I will run out of it before the end, so I ordered another one. Okay, and the next work in progress, I have finally gotten started on the actual knitting for the Unbearable Sweater that I'm knitting for my partner. So this has already been quite a long process, quite a long work in progress because I have done a lot of hand spun for it. But now I'm actually working on the knitting. I have finished all of the colorways that I needed for the hand spun that I was doing, and yes, I am just so excited with how it's coming out already. I just think it's such a beautiful design. So this is the Unbearable Sweater by Le Garçon, also Max the Knitter. He designed this sweater, and I'm working it top down, so it is designed to be, you cast on with a provisional cast on, so this sort of black line at the top here, that will be picked up later, and then you knit a hood. There's a hoodie portion to it. So I'm working it top down so far and just doing some increases and working on the chart right now. It's been really fun so far and I'm really loving how the colorways are coming. I might want to steal this sweater already. I'm knitting it for my partner, but I'm just so in love with these colors and how the design is coming. And like I said, I'm using hand spun yarn for this. Not all hand spun yarn, but most of the colorways in the actual yoke portion at the top, those will be hand spun. So the green color that I'm using, all of the fiber I got from Acre, so they also make Newton yarn, and they also create spinning fiber. So if you're a hand spinner, I would highly recommend checking out their fiber. It's truly a joy to work with. I kind of had a learning curve. It was different than I was used to. I was used to working with comb top fiber when I first started spinning. So this fiber, the Acre fiber, was definitely a learning curve, but now that I'm actually used to working with it, I really like it now. And I can see the differences between the fiber and why you would want one over the other. So these are both the colors that I'm working with right now. This green colorway, I love this color so much. I hope I will have some extras of this so that I can knit something for myself with it. It is just the most rich, luscious, sort of mossy green with some gray to it. It's absolutely beautiful. And then this one is just a really beautiful creamy white, also with some gray and then actually some little peachy bits throughout. So I really love this one. So this ball of yarn I actually finished spinning and finished the whole skein since we spoke last, and I'm actually very happy with how it came out. I did a different spinning technique than I did with the green one. So the green one I did first, and again, still learning how to spin, still learning why you would want to do certain things over other things. So for this one, I was drafting the fiber in a short forward draft method. So apparently I was squeezing all of the air out of it, which is not what I was intending to do. I wanted to make a woolen spun yarn, which means that I would leave a little bit more air in, so it would create a loftier and squishier and more warm yarn. So that was actually my intention, but I wasn't doing it correctly. So for this cream colored yarn, I did half of it short forward draw because I had already had that done. I had already had that bobbin finished. And then the other ply, I did a long draw. I think it would be kind of a supported long draw because I did fudge it a little bit as I was drafting it, but on the whole, I think I was doing a long draw. It definitely was not the short forward draw that I was doing before, where I was really strangling the fibers. And I can really tell a difference between how these two yarns came out. This one is much more balanced and lofty, and I can tell when I'm knitting with it, it has so much more air still in it. And I'm really actually quite pleased with how this one came out. However, the green one almost is like rope in some places, which I'm not super excited about. I still really love these yarns. I think they will knit up beautifully and create a beautiful sweater, but it's really interesting when you're really up close and personal with the fiber and the yarn, and you know how it was made, and then you can see the differences. Yeah, it's just really exciting to me, nerdy fiber spinning things. But yeah, so this one is bigger, not because of the air. This is actually just, it weighs more. This is more fiber. I think this is a bit over 100 grams, and this is less than 100 grams. So it's actually different. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this one came out. And I think I'm going to be doing more of a long draw with the carded fiber, which is what this fiber was, not combed, not all the fibers like evenly in a line, more kind of ragged and rustic and rough. So treat different fibers differently. That's what I've learned. Yeah, lots of fun spinning things. So yes, again, I am just so excited with this project. This only took me one evening, a couple of hours to do, and it's just been so much fun. So yeah, we will see how that one progresses. And oh, I forgot to share with you this little bit, but this was something I had cast on kind of willy-nilly, again with the whole trying to figure out a springy, summery sort of cardigan. This was just something I was playing with, and I'm not sure. I haven't ripped it out because I may want to come back to it in the future. I still am interested in where this idea came from, but we shall see. For now it is on hold, but this was an idea that I had playing in my head that I just needed to get on the needles and see how it turned out. Do you ever do that? Do you ever have an idea and then you just need to get it out there to just see if it works or not? Because sometimes you can't imagine it in your head and you just have to play with the yarn to see. I really enjoy doing that. Okay, and now the last work in progress of the day. I don't even know if I should share this with you because there's not much of a difference, but I'm still working on the Knives Out sweater for my friend. This is where we're at now. And so I ripped out the unwanted fisherman's rib, and I've just continued in the 2x2 ribbing. Still having a lot of fun with it. It might seem boring to you, but I actually think it's a lot of fun because it's simple and I don't have to think about it, and it's just fun. Easy breezy TV knitting. I was sick again, like I told you before. Had COVID last week, so this was definitely by my side. Easy knitting, just to have something to do. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to share with you today. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. And one more thing before you go. A lot of you have been asking me questions regarding knitting or filming or knitwear pattern designing or anything of the sort. I've gotten a lot of questions throughout the entire time of me creating this podcast, and I've realized that we have never done an actual Q&A Ask Me Anything video, so I figured it was time to do one. So if you have any questions, you can ask me anything in the comments below, and I will be answering them in the next podcast episode. So yeah, ask me anything, knitting related, life related, anything like that. And I will do my best to answer it in the next video. So thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Happy knitting, happy making, and yeah, have a great rest of your week. Bye bye.